Greetings, Twitter. Sorry about that interruption earlier. I've been a while since I've been on here, and has been dealing with a minor health issue, a pinched nerve in my neck on my left side, and it hasn't allowed me to really do much. I didn't want to, try to live stream, with discomfort, so I gave it some time. But given what has occurred this weekend, the impeachment of State Attorney General Ken Paxton, I didn't want the rest of the weekend to go by without getting online live and talking about it for just a bit. This is historic. There's only been like 2 or 3 other impeachments in our state's history. The last one was in 1975. This one is historic. One, because given the makeup of the Texas House of Representatives, it honestly was overwhelming to see the result of the vote. The vote was 121 to 23 in favor of impeaching him. Now, if we look at the makeup of the House of Representatives, and I've got my little cheat sheet here with the information, there's a total of 150 representatives in the House of Representatives here in the state of Texas. Of those, 86 are Republican. The other 64 are Democrat. That means that 57 Republicans had to have voted for impeachment to be able to secure a vote in favor of impeachment. That means that of those 86 Republicans, only 29 would have voted against it. Now, of those, I believe there was 23 that, no, not 23, there was 2 or 3 that did not vote, or they voted present not voting. So that brings that number of 29 down to 27, 26. So you're talking about 26 Republicans were against impeachment, and the majority were in favor of it. That says a lot. It says a lot in the sense that maybe, honestly, there is something to these charges or these articles that were brought before. From what I was watching yesterday, because I watched the majority of the impeachment vote yesterday, and the crux of the argument was that these representatives wanted to review the evidence, to review the witness testimonies, to see if it was worth voting to impeach, because they did not want it. They wanted to do it if there was proof of it. Now, this presents a kind of a fallacy when you're talking about the impeachment process, because you have to understand, in the impeachment process, it is not the House of Representatives that has to determine the guilt of the individual, in this case the Attorney General. They have to look at what the committee that is presenting these articles of impeachment have, what they have to substantiate their reasons for asking for impeachment, whether that is the reports of the investigations and any additional information. If it is enough to merit it to go to trial or to go to impeachment trial, then that's sufficient enough for them to make a vote. A lot of these, we want to see the evidence, we want to see the testimony, that's not their job. And I think that was part of the argument, the problems that was going on, that a lot of these Republicans wanted to be, not only did they want to make the decision whether or not to send it to the Senate, but they wanted to be judge, jury, and executioner, as it were. And that's, with the House of Representatives, that's not the case. But I'm assuming because of the amount of votes that went through, there must have been sufficient information or something in those, in the articles or in the attached documents that were given to these representatives that purposed them to say, okay, this needs to be addressed in an impeachment trial. What they saw, I don't know. Now, another factor is that it was said that Paxton was calling and trying to pressure or influence allied representatives to vote against impeachment. That in itself is wrong. Maybe that was the catalyst that motivated a lot of these representatives to say, okay, we're going to vote to impeach him. We're going to let the Senate determine whether or not he is guilty, which is what correctly it was what is supposed to happen. Now a lot of Republicans are pissed off because they're like, this was a sham. This shouldn't have been done this way. We should have been able to see witnesses. We should have see testimony, evidence. It's not the House's responsibility to see all that and weigh it. I mean, they have to understand. They have to understand the process of impeachment, and what they're asking is beyond their scope, basically. So now this is going to go to the Texas Senate. They're going to have a trial to determine whether or not he is guilty or innocent. And Paxton is confident that he will be vindicated in the Texas Senate. I don't know how much clout he has or how much weight he has with the senators in the Texas Senate in Austin. But one thing is for sure, they will have to be impartial in their judgment, if they have some sort of something, or I don't know how to explain it. If Paxton has some weight with them in respect of securing their votes of acquittal, then obviously that can mean that there may be some conflict of interest between those specific senators and Ken Paxton. If that's the case, then there cannot be any impartiality in the Texas Senate. What happens then? I don't know. I mean, that would be unprecedented. So, basically, in a nutshell, we are waiting now to see what the Texas State Senate is going to do. They're supposed to be talking about it today in the hearing, and I've been trying to monitor the hearing off and on to see if anything has been said. I haven't checked it yet. I will be monitoring it, and accordingly, if there is something said, more than likely I will be back live again later this afternoon to talk about it. I'm going to be closely monitoring you because this is historic. In its sense, it's unprecedented in a manner, and it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. I mean, right now in the interim, Paxton is suspended from his duties. All eyes are going to be on Governor Abbott to see who he's going to appoint as an interim Attorney General, and see what that interim Attorney General is going to do. Is he going to continue with the courses of action that Ken Paxton has been doing with all these lawsuits? Are these lawsuits going to be put on hold? What's going to happen? It's going to be interesting to see how this plays out, and I guess we're going to all have to watch this together, keep our eyes peeled to the Senate to see what they're going to do, and then go from there. This is an interesting dilemma or an interesting scenario to watch, and I hope that we all watch it together and talk about it and look at it. Most importantly, look at it in an impartial manner. Just as the senators will have to be impartial, we as Texans should view this as an impartial. View the evidence ourselves and make our own determination based on what's presented, whether or not we should believe he should be guilty or innocent. Now, a lot of Texans voted for him regardless of all the goings on because they figured he was the best candidate to do the job, But unfortunately, that doesn't necessarily mean that's the case. With all that's going on with him, the investigations, the lawsuits, he was tainted. He was tainted coming back into the office, reelected. It was just a matter of time before something was going to happen. Whether he was going to be impeached in Austin, whether the federal government was going to intervene because they are investigating against him, or whether or not he was going to lose the lawsuits and have to pay the money out of his pocket because the House of Representatives chose not to approve the $3.3 million. That's what motivated this whole thing, because that's one of the arguments that was brought on the floor of the House of Representatives. They're like, okay, well, these articles are invalid because all this occurred before the last election that kept him in office. The thing is, I think there may be a technicality based on the fact that because he requested this settlement money in February, this basically kickstarted the probe or the investigation that this committee had to do to find out, okay, does he need this money? What is this money for? Because apparently, from what I've read, they asked him, okay, you want to pay him a settlement, but what is this about? And he didn't answer. If that's true, then it stands to reason that the committee that was doing all this had the reason to do it because they wanted to see where this money was going to go to. And doing that, they uncovered all this stuff in the past, and okay, they're like, okay, this money is going to be for something illegal. What do? You got to fault him for it. You got to impeach him and get him out of office. So, I mean, I'm guessing there's a technicality behind that doesn't allow them to use his request as a manner of going this route with this impeachment. We'll have to wait and see. It'll probably all come to light in the Senate trial. We just have to be patient, wait and see what's going to happen. Well, thank you for taking the time to hear me out. As I said, if something occurs in the Senate today, I more than likely will be back live again later this afternoon to talk about it, and then we'll go from there. In the meantime, thank you for your time, and we'll just watch this carefully and have a very good day. We'll have to keep an eye out on the impeachment of Attorney General Ken Paxton.